Welcome to the greatest of the greatest. A podcast that you never knew you needed. With interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice. Asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Full Buddy Cast.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the episode of Full Buddy Cast Presents. This is, the special. I think we're in our fourth episode. So before we get into it with Billy Painted Horse, Nikki St. Custalow with a C. I learned that last week. We'll get into that in a second. But I just wanted to.
Wondering what that was about. What the hell is that? I don't know, dude.
Go to Cole Street Brewery, Enumclaw, Washington, 1627 Enumclaw, Washington. Say hi to Sean. Went down there the other day, had a good time with my mom and my dad for Mother's Day. Just had a nice little drink there and enjoyed ourselves. Also, go over to Bordeaux Wine Bar. My mom bought my wife a nice gift card from there for her Mother's Day gift. Also, go to Enumclaw, Mazatlan. Say hi to Andy. Andy is the man. Went and saw him as well, and actually ran into my daughter's boyfriend's parents and got to have a good, hang out with them. And then also always hit up Dan Coots Snyder over at O Chef Country Kitchen over at the Claw parking lot. Hit it on DoorDash, get the Travis Kenny, and then let's shout out our Patreons, patreon.com if you want to check it out. Homer, figure it out. I'm going to shout out Homer because he's a good dude, but figure it out, bud. All right.
Homer, you pay me money. I promise I'll never abuse you like that.
No.
Unless you want me to.
Don't believe him. He will.
That's a different program.
All right, we got Kellen Hall, Holly Graff, Adam Kenny Art, Seth Loop, Cassie Spencer, Amanda Keating, Shekinah Sarver, Jared Skelly, Ben Illman, Jamie Roberts, Jamie Kenny, Apollo Doodle, Jackson Sidehook, Sasha Carey Lynn from Edison City Ale House in Tacoma, Washington, Thomas Savageau, Councilman Anthony Wright, Cameron Stratton, Real Estate Tycoon, Katri Hoban. By the way, if you get Katri Hoban, you're a DoorDasher, put it on the left side of the door. She hates it when it goes right directly to the door. Jackie Van Hoof and Dan Coots Snyder. Glad to have, right before his trip, we're going to catch up real quick, talk about his trip coming up, and then talk about as well just that outfit, that garden party outfit, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, I'll send you some pictures once, because I'm talking to the microphone like a professional here. Yeah, I've got a cousin, Robin, who has a hair salon back in Virginia. Fortunately, it's not on the reservation. It's actually 20 minutes from my mom's place, which will be very convenient. But yeah, she's going to do me up right because I've got native blood, black blood, and a lot of white European blood, and some of that probably Viking blood. But
I can see that.
Anyhow, she's gonna. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it kind of comes out. But she's gonna do the hair up for me and make me look special when I go to my sister's wedding. But yeah, my little sister Maria Custalow is marrying Dan Neifeld Saturday. She's stressing right now because she's a bride, obviously, but it's also calling for rain, just like here.
Is it really?
I guess, everywhere is sunny right now, but on the special day, it's going to be raining here. That's what she's saying. But you know what, dude? It's not about the weather so much. I mean, it's Virginia. It's going to be muggy as hell, but I just figure it's the moment. So, we'll manage. We'll figure something out. Umbrellas or tents or something, but canopies. Something will happen. But nevertheless, yeah, I'm heading to Richmond, Virginia. Haven't been back since 2019, so yeah, I haven't flown on a plane. I'm taking mostly Airbuses. I did that purposely when I planned my trip. I'm leaving on a red-eye Thursday night on an Airbus. It's American Airlines. That probably wasn't my smartest move, but still, I tried to avoid the Boeings because I like my planes to not fall apart in midair. I'm weird that way. But yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. I'm looking forward because I get to see my family, get to see my mom. Called her Sunday and wished her happy Mother's Day, but it sounded like whatever she was very busy and hectic, so I was just real quick. But I'm going to surprise them, take her and my stepfather out for dinner.
Nice.
Hopefully Sunday or Monday before I fly back Tuesday. But yeah, I haven't been back to Virginia since 2019 before the world went all crazy. And yeah, We went to the powwow. I took my son-in-law, Victor. He came back with my daughter for the first time to meet the family. And so it was a wonderful time. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but I have a cousin who's really famous. I think I did mention it
Possibly,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah, Mickey James, the
Okay.
wrestler. She is the diva. If you want to look her up, you can look her up. Mickey, Mickie, James, J. Gorgeous woman, absolutely stunning. And we're very blessed to have her representing the tribe and our people. But she's been a professional wrestler for, a good generation now. Most wrestling fans out there will know who she is. Yeah. You see her?
Yeah.
You got her there? I know. Yeah, that's my cousin.
Wow.
She's my second cousin. Her mom, Sandra, and I are first cousins. We grew up together.
That's
Used to go to all the church functions because all our dads, all them native dads of ours that grew up on the reservation, every one of them to a man, just about, except for maybe Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe was the oldest, and he was he's got a history. He's legendary. The Custalows have a reputation in the state of Virginia that just precedes us. Yeah, we're like rabbits into our 70s, and we're just whores. We're just absolute whores. We do. We are a very fertile people. But every one of my uncles, as far back as I remember, every one of them was musical. They all played guitar and sang. Well, I'm not sure about Uncle Al. Uncle Al was a barber, and he was a good barber. I used to get my hair cut by him all the time. But my Uncle Tommy sold me my first saxophone, gave me guitar lessons. God rest his soul. All of them are passed except for my Uncle Dale, who played bass guitar in my dad's gospel group, the Victory Trio. But yeah, that's a very, very musical family I have there.
That's nice. So walk me through real quick.
Yes, sir.
When you get to Richmond, what are some spots, restaurants,
Oh, I have
sightseeing
no idea.
that you...
Listen, I left there when I was 19, and
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's some stories I want to tell about the nights that I left the places that I've lived.
Okay.
Because it seems like just something's always happened close to or the night of that I leave a city for somewhere else. Dramatic things that, I think be worth telling. But Richmond, man, back in the day, dude, when we were teenagers, let me tell you, man, I do not regret growing up in Richmond, Virginia as a young man. I thoroughly, and just no childhood is perfect, but mine was as idyllic and perfect as you could hope for with all of the bullshit that was going on, behind the scenes. I had a mom who really worked her ass off to take care of me and my sister, and provide for us. And then, she went through a lot of shit. My mom, man, if I sit here and tell you my mom's story, I'll start crying because the woman just, for everything she's been through, to be as loving as she is now is a testament to God's grace, because she has every right to be just angry at the world, and she isn't. She's a spark plug, a woman, definitely not one to be tested sometimes. But and Lord knows I have as her firstborn son, I have definitely tested her. But no, I love her to death, man, and I owe everything in my life basically to that woman's. Like, she did not give up on me ever, and I.
So when you
I
say,
put that woman through hell,
Yeah.
man. And sometimes when I sit back and think about what I've done to her, man, it just breaks me, because it's like she deserved better.
So did she ever have? Because we've all, there's parents listening right now that have had teenagers, and did she ever have the like, will you figure it out kind of conversation with you at all?
Oh,
And was there any sort of like boundary? She said, if you do this, you're this.
Look here. I'm glad you asked that. So here's a great story, because people nowadays, obviously in this hypersensitive, highly charged, political charged, and socially charged time, you can't say anything. You can't make a fucking joke without people just losing, especially young people and guilty people, like guys that are homophobe, that get upset when a gay man hits on them. Those guys have issues. They've thought about going down on the bone, right? They sit there at night and they watch guys in movies, and they struggle with their feelings.
Yeah, they fight it. Okay.
I've told people I wished I could just smoke one of them. My life would probably be so much easier if I just learned how to just acquire a taste for man meat, because I've been so addicted to vagina, it has just absolutely fucked my life up.
Yes, yes.
And I'm like, I'm so hetero, man, that somebody should do a fucking study on me. It's not right, people. I'm telling you, it's just not.
I just love how this started out with mom conversation.
Yeah, I know. It goes right.
I'm
that's how I
addicted to
am,
vagina.
dude. I'm like that. I'm just a good time, people. I'm a really good time and a cheap date too. Yeah,
True.
I'll spend more money on myself than you. That's why I say I'm a cheap date. But
so the hard line.
So my mom and I, when I graduated high school. Now, this is what I was told by my little sister. She said that when I pulled out of the driveway to go down to Virginia Beach. That you're going to ask me early about.
And how old's your sister?
My favorite places to go in Richmond, Virginia, or Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach. Okay.
Which is not Richmond. My favorite thing is get a car in Richmond and drive to Virginia Beach. But no, my mom was hard ass, man. Like my mom was strict. Okay. And so, I had a countdown when I was 15 years old. I had Kiss posters in my bedroom. She was good about some things and hard about others, and I wanted to play sports, but she wouldn't let me because she was worried I was going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the 70s and 80s. And so, of course, I gravitate toward the stoners and smokers. And my mom worked at Philip Morris. My stepdad smokes 2 packs a fucking day. So, I'm grabbing cigarettes out of the ashtray. I'm stealing packs out of the fridge,
Out of the fridge?
Oh, yeah, man. My mom would bring cases. So Philip Morris employees would get cases, and she would bring them home,
Just
and
keep
my
fresh in the fridge.
Throw them in the fridge, man.
Okay.
And stepdad would just open a card and pull a pack.
There you go.
But, she set rules and boundaries, and I constantly tested them. And I look back and think to myself, oh, yeah, when someone lies to me now, I go, oh, that's what my mom must have saw. That's why she wanted to knock my teeth through the back of my head. Okay, I get it now.
That makes sense.
I totally get it now. Right, but she and I we couldn't get along after high school. So basically my sister told me, she said, when you backed out of the driveway on your graduation week, she stood there and she started crying, and she said, "What's wrong, Mama?" And she says, "My little baby's growing up." She goes, "And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep him because I know he wants to run." And I was told by my Aunt Jenny, who said that she said, "Why are you so strict on him, Linda?" She says, "Because I listened to him talk about how much he wants to go to California." She says, that's all he talks about is he wants to be on the West Coast. She said, she says, "I'm just trying to hold on to him as long as I can because I know as soon as he's able to, he's going to run."
Yeah.
And she was right. She was absolutely. She was right.
I like this.
She was right. So I couldn't live with her. But so I came back from graduation week, and it was just argue. And then me and my just arrogant pride, youthful pride, just young, dumb, and full of that. Yeah. I run around. Oh man, the story. I could tell you some stories there about my last days in Richmond before I left. Did I tell you the ones about the night I left?
Not yet.
Okay. So, I kick around for a while, and there's a few stories in here, and I don't want to go too long, but since I'm going to be gone for a minute, maybe we can make a special tonight. We go a little bit extra. She and I just butted heads and argued, and so, I end up calling my dad, and I go to stay with my dad, and of course, I'm growing my hair, and I got earrings, and my dad is a devout Southern Baptist Christian, and he's adopted some children, 2 boys, Robert and John. Their older brother, too, but I never met him, but Robert and John. And then their little sister, Maria, whose wedding I'm going to. This is all how this ties together. This was in 1985. He had adopted them, I think, in 1984 or 83, somewhere in there. She was very little when they got them. But their story was a heartbreaking one. And my dad and Janice, his wife, were angels to, take him. But they'd always wanted a family. Janice couldn't have children. They wanted a family. In fact, my dad and Janice had offered my mom to adopt me and my sister Audrey from my mom because my mom was so young. They were like, you can be young and go do your thing. And my mom's like, no, she's a mother. She ain't giving her children up. So anyhow, that story. So anyhow, I go stay with my dad. I got a Kerrang magazine with Blackie Lawless from Wasp on the cover in a box in my closet, just right out in the open. And I got a steamroller, used for smoking weed. And I'm 19, right? This is 86. I've gone through the summer, and through the fall and winter. And now here it is, summertime or, early spring, late winter, early spring of 86. And my dad comes to me and says, "Billy, got to ask you to move out." "Why is that, Dad?" Well, he holds up the steamroller. I can't have this in my house.
So wait, was it a nice, calm conversation like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh dude, my dad was the nicest, sweetest, gentlest person you probably ever want to meet. At least that's what I saw from him. Now I've been told stories in his younger days. He had a fist that put a man under a car, like a punching. Yeah. So he was definitely scrapping. And believe me, when I think about what I'm capable of, stuff I've done, I'm like, well, I got it from him or Grandpa, one of the two, if not both. So but anyhow,
nice and
no,
calm.
he's very calm, very calm. I know it broke his heart. I'm sure in hindsight, I'm looking back, it broke his heart. But at the same time, he has to deal with Janice. She's passed on. She was died in a car wreck in Charles City. But that's the halfway point between Richmond and Williamsburg, if people are keeping count. And anyhow, he'd asked me, hey, can't have these influence around these boys. Because I guess Robert, said, when I grow up, I want to be like my big brother, Billy. I want to have long hair and earrings.
Okay.
Dad.
Okay.
When I was 13, my dad, when he asked me about adopting children, when I went to stay with him, I hadn't seen him in ages. There's a lot of pain between me and my dad, and I wish he had lived long enough for us to sit down and talk about it and me to tell him. But, it is what it is, man. Life, man plans, God laughs. He, at 13, he came when I was staying with him. I just got there, suitcase on the bed. Comes in, he says, so son, what are you into? And I was like, oh, Dad, I like this band. I like Kiss, big Kiss fan.
Yeah.
And this is 1980.
Yeah.
Okay. Huge Kiss fan. Oh, son, you shouldn't listen to that stuff. That's the devil's music.
Right.
Then he goes and gets a book, Rock and Roll, the devil's music.
Yeah.
You can go look it up. It's on Amazon.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
find it. It's
There's a VHS of it. I think,
okay. Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you got to understand, this is back in the day of Bible burning or album burnings, when they threw the Beatles and shit in the pile and burned them. And so we saw all that stuff. It was like Fahrenheit 451, but with music, and so I had all these things. It's just, how crushing that is for a little boy that has hardly ever seen his father. He hardly sees his father. He finally goes and sees his dad, and his dad asks him, how have you been? What are you into? And then he just shits on it.
Yeah.
And I understand he wasn't doing it to be mean or spiteful. In his mind, he was doing it out of love.
Yeah.
He was trying to guide me away from that stuff. And looking around now at the music industry and what it's become, maybe not so much rock and roll. And having been in LA and Hollywood and around the music industry, the professional music industry, long enough, you meet people, you see how people are, you see how just conniving and insidious and snaky they are, and you realize and then you realize there's a lot of gay men in the fucking entertainment and music industry, folks. A lot of gay men. They just seem to just sort of gravitate that way for some reason. And there's a lot of opportunities again for you to test your, true heterosexual nature. But but thinking about him, I'm like, in hindsight, I'm like, he's looking at his son trying to oh man, don't, that stuff's, and I told him about this band Stryper, and they were Christian rock. He's like, no, son, it's not the lyrics, it's the drum beats.
Oh.
And this is my Native American father, and he's sitting here telling me, and it's like, it's the tribal African drum beats that gin up these, desires and emotions in humans, it's the rhythms of those drums and I'm like, so you're basically saying that those black people over there in Africa, their drum beats is why they all running around naked and shit. Okay. I don't know what he said. I was like, well, wait a minute, the native, we have the powwows and
sure. Yeah.
I'm like, that ain't it. It was like, is our beat not generating enough of the juices like the African drum beats are?
Right.
Like, do we need to put a little flavor in there? I mean, but it's funny too, because there's so many Africans, free and emancipated bloodlines in the Native American tribes in the South, in southeast of the country. Of course, things thinned out as people came west, but there's still obviously bloodlines of Europeans and blacks and what have you through all of the native tribes. There's going to be some slight mixture, but in the East, it's really prevalent. And if you look at, if you were to put all of the Custalows and the McGowans and the Gundakers and the, I'm drawing blanks on the other names, the Cooks, and if you put all the Pamunkey and the Mattapanai family, all of us on one big plot of land, you would have every hue of hair and eye color and skin color possible. Man, we're black, we're red, we're brown, we're white, we're so many things, but we are the American melting pot. Back to the story though. This is my point. So when people nowadays get all worked up and I make a joke or something, they say, "Oh my God, you're so transphobic, you're so homophobic." I posted something recently, and just about the pride thing, which I think is fucking ridiculous. Nothing towards gay people. I just think it's fucking ridiculous to give a whole month to a sexual fucking inclination, but people that went out and fight for us and die for us to keep our freedoms that apparently people in this country are taking for granted. They think that this shit's just everywhere. Everywhere is as nice as America. I have the same. I can go anywhere and support gay people. I'm like, yeah, do that in Palestine. Go ahead, try that. Let us know how that works for you. I think it's just ridiculous that we do that, but. Point being, I posted something the other day and saying, when a white straight man, I'm like, spare me, I'm like, people get so upset. It's funny, the gay people are the most easygoing and humorous, humorful about the shit. It's the straight white liberals that seem to just lose their fucking minds. It's like, you guilty conscience loaded piece of shit. Like, you're sitting here projecting. If I see the world this way, then surely everyone else must see the world this way, because why would other people see the world differently than me? So therefore, if I'm a racist and I think that black people are inferior and that gay people are deviant and whatever, you must too. And I'm fighting my demons over here trying to get better, but you're not. So I'm better than you because I at least accepting what's wrong with me and I'm trying to fix it. You're over there just acting like there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, psycho, that's not how it works. But I love it because it offers it when people are actually open to dialogue, to a conversation. Because I look at these young people that are, the girls that are screaming like banshees and crazy, and the dudes that have strength when there's 4 or more of them. But you get them down to 3 or less, and they're just the biggest walking vaginas you've ever met. No, I'm being serious, man. It's just like, I look at these guys and I'm like, I'm about to pick up 3 fucking felony charges here. I like some of these guys like, y'all wouldn't have survived the 80s or 90s, man. Just the entitlement and the weakness of mind, the weakness of body. These people would not have survived with us at our desert parties. You would have definitely been the fodder for the animals. I mean, it's just incredible. But back to my point, what got me was, what gets me about it is when people are open to it, I'm like, so tell me something. And back to Virginia. Have you ever been fresh out of high school, not sure what you're going to do with your life, running around with a bunch of fucking criminals and shit, looking at picking up a bunch of felonies? You're doing grabbing dashes in grocery stores for wine and tobacco. You're just doing dumb shit. Because I was free, man. I was like, I'm an adult now. I can do whatever I want, right? And I realized my parents had a purpose. There was a reason why they didn't want me to go. Because, immediately I go out and I just do all the shit that I knew better. Anyhow, I'm going wild. I get a job, graveyard job, working at a gas station. And this guy, Eric, comes in. He works the graveyard at at Philip Morris. And he comes in at night and gets cigarettes. Well, I'm a young man, but I have gaydar. And I immediately pick up. He never says anything. I never say a word. Then eventually time goes by, and he says, you know I'm gay? He goes, I got to tell you something. I go, what's that? He goes, and he came out to me. He says, I'm bisexual. I go, Eric, you're not bi, you're gay. He's like, no, I like girls too. I go, Eric, come on. You're gay. I go, you never talk about girls with me ever. And you're gay. He's like, oh. So, but I was like, he goes, you don't care? I go, Eric, you've been my friend through all of this. Right. You've never hit on me. I said, I'm straight. I said, and I knew you were gay, but I was going to let you tell me. I wasn't going to call you out. I said, but, I said, it's all good, bro. I don't care. I'm like, you love who you want to love. I was 19. Anyhow, he says, okay, so we become friends. So then I forget, I think I went to my mom's house while she was at work, and my little sister was there, and I was using the phone to call friends and stuff, but I wouldn't stay. I would go in for a few minutes, use the phone, and then take off. And I still have my 75 Nova hatchback that I was driving around in. And I call him up, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I go, well, I said, I can't live with my dad anymore. He wanted me out. What? And I told him what happened. And he says, yeah. And I said, and my mom and I we're not getting along at all. I said, my sister's here. I'm at the house. I said, I just thought I'd give you a call. I'm like, hey, you think you can help me out with anything? Because I said, I'm sleeping under the bridge by the train tracks up the road here about a quarter mile up on Castlewood. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. No, you're not. I'll be there in a few. And he comes over and he picks me up. And he's like, no. And so he picks me up and he's like, no, I got some friends in Richmond. So we drive into Richmond and we go to this apartment building. Now it's funny, this girl that I'd seen at the James River where we all hang out in the summer and go swim, ride the rapids as it were. People died down there all the time. Oh, dude, riding the rapids on the James River in Richmond. It's two types of people that do that: the survivors and the rest of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and the rest of you. Yeah, no, dude, the stories every year, my years growing up, of people dying trying to ride the rapids.
Wow.
Anyhow, this chick, she was wild. She was kind of chick that run around with no top on and everything. Turns out she was just a fun little whore. Just, God bless him. Anyhow, she lived downstairs from these guys. He takes me up, introduces me to him, and they're heavyset guys, bigger guys. But I immediately I could tell they're gay. Turns out they're the two biggest drag queens in the city of Richmond. Now, I don't mean drag queens like they walk the streets. I mean there's a club called Scandals, and Scandals in Richmond was where Prince, Grace Jones, the counterculture music groups, when people wanted to have a good time after party without a bunch of, opinions. Because Richmond is a very Christian city. This is talking about the 80s. So that was the club that they would have those parties at. So it was very well known club for the gay community and just people who didn't care hanging out with gay people, having a good time and everything, and partying and dancing. So these two run the review show. They are like the main drag queens at the show. So they sit there and I first meet him and they're like, so you're not gay? I'm like, no, not even bi, not even a little curious. I'm like, no. I'm like, I like girls, man. And they're like, okay. They're like, well, we might tease you, but we'll respect your boundaries, but we might tease you. Is that okay? And I was like, sure, I don't care,
Yeah.
Of course. And so anyhow, and it's funny because here we are in May of 2024, May of 1986, sitting on the couch one Saturday and I'm watching TV in the living room there, and I said, hey, come here and check this out. And so both of them come on one side, on the other side of me. And I said, this kid's name is Mike Tyson. I said, he's from New York. I said, he's going to be the next world heavyweight champion. I said, this kid is a pit bull. I go, you guys got to watch this dude, man. I go, he's just incredible. And he's fighting Marvis Frazier, Joe Frazier's son. And Marvis had been, talking a lot of shit about him and on. When Marvis walked in that ring, you see the look on Marvis's face. To this day, everybody says, look at him, he's scared. Like, because you talk all the shit you want, but when you see Tyson, like over there, all sweaty, glistening from his warm-up, and that look on him, like, he just looked like the type of brother, like, that's the nightmare when you walk into prison. He's the, like, hello, fresh meat. That's the dude right there. That's that guy, man. And I'm like, watch this brother take this other brother apart, man. And Tyson whipped his ass in I think it's the fastest knockout in heavyweight history. It still might be. It was like 30-some seconds, man. He just whipped Marvis's ass.
I got to see this.
He stole from him. Yeah, absolutely. Pull it up. It was like May. We're right up on it, right up on the anniversary date of that fight. Anyhow, these two guys just looked at me and went, wow, you weren't kidding. And in that moment, what I realized is there was no drag queens or straight guys or, gay guys and straight. There was just three young men sitting on a couch watching these other two young men fight. And this one young man who's literally my age, just basically establishing his legend.
Oh, my God.
Right?
That.
Yeah, dude.
Right there. Bang.
Bam. Is that Marvis? Is that him knocking Marvis out? Yeah, dude. And did they say how fast it was? They say how many seconds it was? Like 30-some seconds or some shit. I remember it was just over quick. It was over so fast. But that was Tyson, though, man. He didn't end him quick. If he didn't end him quick, you get a little nervous because, in later days when he started going against Lennox Lewis and Evander, you just knew, man, if he ain't knocking him out in round 2 or 3, it's probably going to go to the other guy.
The fight lasted only 30 seconds. It was quickest victory of Tyson's professional career.
Did I call it? Did I not? Did I say 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Bro, so there you go.
He couldn't even count to 10. It said when referee Joe Cortez began to count to 10, Frazier was clearly unresponsive, and they stopped the count at 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's almost a third of the 30 seconds is them counting.
I mean, a knockout.
Quarter.
Like, knocked the fuck out. It's like you expect Chris Rock to come over and stand him. Hey, man, hey! You got knocked the fuck out. You ain't gonna need these tennis shoes. All right. So that's when people come at me like that, I just look at them and I just smile and think, if you knew
my background,
like the
history,
people that I've associated, the people that I owe thanks to for pulling me off the streets, for my man. And I got to L.A., man. First guy we meet on the beaches of L.A. is in Venice Beach. Guy named Ron Howard. I shit you not, folks. No, it wasn't Richie Cunningham, but the guy's name was Ron Howard. Oh, okay. And Ron queers a $3 bill. Older guy, very much older, probably in his 40s. I don't even know if Ron's probably not even with us anymore. That's how old he was back in 80s. When was that? 86. Since I got to L.A. in like October of 86. October? Yeah, I guess it was October of 86. But, Ron helped us out. Of course, he wanted something, but then when he realized he wasn't getting it, he was still not peace doing, well, fuck you then. He was still understanding these two young men. They're being very polite. They're respectful. We're just being cool. Like, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And he's like, here, I'll buy you guys something to eat. And like, we appreciate it, and we have no way, pay you, but thank you, So, because I remember Michael had an Ibanez Iceman guitar. It was beautiful. If any of you guys out there know what that is, he sold that thing for $75 so we could eat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anybody that knows guitars knows that that Iceman is probably worth like $3,000 now. Even back then, it was worth a lot more than $75. But when you're on the streets of Los Angeles, Southern California, and you're homeless, man, and you're hungry, you haven't eaten in a couple of days, the kid lugging that guitar around, not only is it a mark and tired people looking at you, but it's cumbersome, man. So, yeah, I felt bad for him to have to do that. But anyhow, moving on. So, that attitude, that mindset, and that open-minded, open-hearted approach to things, it afforded me quite a few blessings that I probably wouldn't otherwise had I been more standoffish and more insecure. So I laugh at that shit. But the night I left Richmond.
There we go.
The night I left, back to the night real quick. And I'll go through these cities real quick for you. The night I left Richmond, my friend Timmy calls me up, says, hey, man, we just fixed this truck over at the garage he works at. They fixed the truck. He just worked around the shop. Timmy's on parole. And he says, you want to go joyriding? Now, at this point, I've moved out of the drag queen's apartment. I forget for why. My friend Vale, God rest his, I don't know, Vale's even alive still. God, so many stories. There's so many memories when I start telling this shit. Vale has let me sleep in his pantry in the kitchen. So that's literally where I've got blankets down in a kitchen pantry. I'm sleeping in there because he's got a tiny little apartment, a little kitchenette. And so I'm literally sleeping where the fucking food goes. She says, hey, we got this truck, man. You want to go riding around town tonight? I'm like, sure. So there's this girl, Angel, that lives on the other side. She's got a boyfriend, but she and I have a thing for each other. But she's got a boyfriend, so it ain't happening. It's complicated. So I'm kind of going through emotions with this girl because I want this girl to be my girlfriend and all. And so, kind of on that high emotional ride thing right now. And let's go riding. All right. So we go riding around. Now I'm down in the bowels of Richmond, Virginia, dude. And I'm hanging out with like male prostitutes and female prostitutes, drug dealers, and just, the gangbanging shit wasn't so bad. But anybody that knows Church Hill in Richmond knows that that's just a bad place to be. Anyhow, Timmy and I ended up there somehow, parking the truck, going into a 7-Eleven for cigarettes or something. We come out, and as we're walking across the street, these two black kids, I guess they're kids, I don't know, but teenagers at least. But I walk across the street. Now Timmy's in front of me, and he's heading to the driver's side, and I'm walking towards the passenger side, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, white boy, turn around, and gun pointed at me and goes, pop, pop, pop. fires 3 shots.
Oh, really? He wasn't yelling it. He actually was firing the shot.
He was yelling, "Hey, white boy!" So I turned around, and when I turned around, he
fired the gun.
I'm trying to remember if he said "fuck you" or if he just fired. But the one thing I do know for sure happened is he fired.
Yeah.
He fired at least 3 rounds. I'm pretty sure it was 3 rounds. Pop, pop, pop. And I'm waiting for him to hit me, man. I'm like, oh, because there's nothing I could do. And then it's another one of those moments where I'm like, did he fire blanks or did God just go, not this
Drop
one?
him, yeah.
Just not this one. I got plans for this one. I don't know. I tell people, God has a plan. I'm like, this is one of those moments when I said I should have died so many times. Right. This is one of those moments. Okay. This is one of the first ones, actually. Right. But anyhow, nothing happens. We get fuck out of there, Churchill. We go down and we're hanging out, and this guy he knows is Timmy knows he's a male prostitute or whatever, we're hanging out with him and shit, and then I don't know, we're just okay, what are we doing here, Timmy? Like, I don't know, let's go. We get in the truck and we drive off. Now, in all this time, we did not realize that someone had gone out to the yard and checked the vehicles and found that the truck was gone and had noted that the truck was missing. So Richmond PD is out looking for it now. And me and Timmy, we pull up to this corner. In a payphone, I go over and I call Angel and I want to go see her. No answers. Man. So now I'm upset. I hang up the phone, but I see this cop drive by real slow. I'm like, oh, shit. And I hang up the phone and I walk over and I go, hey, man. I go, cops just rode by. He goes, yeah, I saw him. It's like, let's go. I got to get this truck back. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm done too. This is probably 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he goes, as soon as he goes to start the truck, man, they come from the alleys, from the street corner ahead of us, and from behind it. They swarmed on us and surrounded us. We weren't going anywhere. And now I've got at least 5, maybe 8 Richmond police officers with their guns drawn on us. And, and this one, he's like young. He's sitting there in his hand. You could see his hand trembling as he's pointing his gun. And I'm just looking at him like, bro, you need to put that thing away. And cops come over, and I'm looking at him like, you need to tell him to put that fucking gun away unless you want to riot. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, take a look at my ID and read my last name and tell me if you want this motherfucker shooting me. Yeah. He goes, what's your name? He looks at it. He goes, Custalow. Yeah. You related to the native tribe? Yeah. The Indian tribe? Yeah. They didn't give a shit. I was like, yeah. Who's your dad? I said, Clayton Custalow, the gospel musician. I said, you know my dad? He's like, yeah. He says, what do you think your dad would think about you out here running around in stolen vehicles? I said, I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a few years. Why don't you ask him and let me know? And he kind of looked at me. It was like, oh, he just got this look like, oh shit, sorry, Yeah. I'm like, yeah, sorry, man. I mean, my dad ain't talked in a few years. Maybe, maybe when he starts giving a shit, you can let me know. Like I said, there's a lot of shit there between my dad and I. We worked it out before he passed, fortunately.
Nice.
We had a come together as father and son that, and after I brought my daughter back, that was another one. That was my own mess up there. Like I told you, 19-year hole in my heart that I can't ever fill. But anyhow, they call in and I hear they got the tow truck pulling up and I hear on the radio, the owner, is that Timmy and his friend out joyriding? And the guy and he's looking over at Timmy and just shaking his head at Timmy. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, that's kind of what I figured. He said, just bring the truck back. Tell the cops we ain't going to press charges. Tell Timmy I want to see him in the morning. We need to talk. Okay. So cops leave. No charges. We're
nice.
And I'm standing there. I'm looking at Timmy and I'm like, I just had a bunch of cops about ready to blow me away for joyriding in a truck. And I said, I was born in this fucking city, but God is my witness.
I'm not dying
in it. I shit you not, dude. I went back to that apartment where I was living, and Timmy came with me, but he only got down to Knoxville, Tennessee, and then he freaked because he was on probation or parole or whatever, and he was like, man, I got to get back because, if they catch me here out of state, that's just makes things worse for him. So he freaks, and he goes outside, says he's going to go look for a ride for us, and then he never comes back, and I realized later he got in a truck, found a ride back to Richmond. Uh-huh. Good for him, man. Yeah. This was my journey, not his. He was coming with me just as a friend. He felt, like everything that happened, it was just sort of like he was just running on the emotion. And then when he found the adrenaline, when it finally ebbed in Knoxville, he's like, oh shit, I got to get back to Richmond.
Yeah.
But I just looked at him and I was like, so I went back to the apartment, took a pair of sweatpants, took what little belongings. I think I had an Ozzy Ultimate Sin tape, a couple pair of underwears and socks and some T-shirts and some shorts or something. And I shoved everything that I had inside the sweatpants, pulled the strings tight, tied it around in a knot and tied it off, took the legs at the ankles, tied them together in a knot and threw it over my shoulder like a knapsack, right? Hobo style. And got out on the freeway and never looked back.
Yeah.
Like just left. And then, like I said, there's so many stories from that moment when I put my thumb out on I-64 heading or I-95, I-64. One of them two. Y'all know where I'm talking about there in Virginia. Yes, sir.
I want to take each city a little bit. I don't want to do it all in one episode.
Gotcha.
So I do have some follow-up questions on this story though, because it's very fascinating. So
it's fitting since I'm going back there in a couple of days. So.
Do you remember the first vehicle that picked you up when you put your thumb out? Do you remember that first time and how far you went and who the driver was? Or
we were walking on the freeway and this guy was walking like not far back behind us and we're just like, shit. You can't have two separate hitchhikers like, 100 feet apart from each other. That shit don't work, man. Right. So we waited for him to catch up, introduce ourselves. Michael turned out to be one of the best friends in my life. Unfortunately, he took his life a few years ago in Kentucky. But when Timmy went back, Michael stayed with me. And Michael was my sixth for that whole trek. Michael got introduced to hard drugs like cocaine and meth and shit because of our travels. Not so much California. California, we were good. We were just drinking a lot, right? It was just going to Sunset Strip, hanging out at the rocker bars and just doing a lot of drinking. Then at Mark's place, we would drink. And we were taking acid and stuff, but we weren't doing coke. We weren't doing meth. I mean, at that time in 86, man, none of us had really heard of meth. We were young. We were from the East Coast, but we hadn't even heard of meth yet. I didn't find out about that until like the following year when I'm in Phoenix, and then I'm hanging out in Sunny Slope and this chick comes over and she's just like, here, you should try this. And I'm like, what's this? Because it's called meth. And I'm like, really? It's just like kind of opaque gray rock. She shaves off a line and gives me a line about that long, dude. I'm literally about, say from your middle knuckle of your index finger to the tip of your finger, a line about that long. I was just gone for 3 days. Like, I mean, like, I am Cornholio for 3 days, dude. And, I was gone after that because, up until then it was like, doing a little coke. It's like, oh, coke is fun. Till 15 minutes later when the Jones kicks in and you're like, okay, I need another one, And so coke was the constant chasing, like it's chasing the dragon, or whatever you want to call it, chasing the horse. But it's like meth was like, woohoo, this is poor man's, high here, but this is poor man's coke. Like you can get a bag of the same amount of meth and that shit'll last you 2 weeks. You can stay, but we had no idea of the harmful effects that shit had, like way past coke. I found out something today that if you were to try to snort the same amount of like caffeine, like from the coffee plants, and they were to grind that up and you would try to snort the same amount as you do of a line of coke, you would overdose. It would kill you.
No way.
Yes, caffeine is that, like, seriously, like what we're getting in coffee and everything when it's been roasted and everything, it dulls it down. Yeah, dude, because I guess caffeine, like, yeah, I think it was a certain amount, like so many milligrams a day, like 40 something. I forget. I heard the number this morning. There's only so many milligrams. If you do more than that a day, it'll kill you.
Wow.
Wow. But anyhow, but what were you saying?
Well, what was the first vehicle that
I don't recall, but I do recall this. He and I got picked up by a couple, maybe in their 30s. Okay, he's 19, 20. He's 20 and I'm 19. Michael's 20, I'm 19. And this couple picks us up and they're like, where are you heading? Like, we're heading to LA, Los Angeles. And they go, oh, wow, you got a long way to go. Yeah. Well, we were heading to Texas. We'll take you, drop you. Well, we didn't know, man, because we're over here. We're trying, Knoxville, traveling through Tennessee, Memphis, cross to Arkansas, whatever, there's a Memphis, Arkansas, and a Memphis, Tennessee, and it's separated by the river, by the Mississippi.
Oh,
I think it's the Mississippi River, but yeah, it's Memphis, Tennessee, and Memphis, Arkansas. Yeah, there's a couple of cities like that are the same city name, just different state because of a dividing board, either a river or some other natural boundary or what have you. But yeah, because there's Kansas City, Missouri, and there's Kansas City, Kansas, right?
Yeah.
And there's Memphis, Tennessee, and there's Memphis, Arkansas. Anyhow, moving on. This couple, dude, was like fucking Mickey and Mallory kind of energy, you know? I remember we got into Arkansas. We pulled into some little backwoods fucking little convenience store. You want to go get beer or something, cigarettes. And we're getting, I was like, you guys want anything? I was like, we don't have any money. He's like, yeah, come on, we'll get you something, you know. So we walk in the store, and I remember getting out of the car, and I had shorts on, and immediately there's just a swarm of gnats, like bugs around your legs. Like that's the one thing I remember about Arkansas is in August, you do not want to get out bare-legged in certain parts of Arkansas because the bugs will eat you alive within seconds. Because I remember running to the store, and I'm just slapping my leg, going, what the fuck? You know? But yeah, they were weird, but ended up taking us all the way down to San Antonio, dude. Like, we didn't want to go to the southern tip of Texas. I don't want to go. The fuck? I'm like, I got to see Mexico for the first time in Del Rio because we got left there in San Antonio. We go to this truck stop. You good?
Yeah,
I know. I choke people up like. We go to this truck stop. Talk to a driver. He says, "I'm heading to LA in a few days." You know, blah blah. And we lump for him. But then he kept pushing out his departure date, and I'm like, I'm tired of this shit. Because the last day that we did it for him, he had us move a sleeper sofa up 4 flights of stairs in an apartment complex in Del Rio for an Air Force guy, right? And like, we're standing up on the 4th floor of that apartment building after we had lugged that heavy ass 400-pound fucking sleeper sofa up. And I'm a scrawny little 19-year-old punk, man.
Yeah.
I ain't built to be lifting shit like that. And I remember looking out, and he goes, "You see that right over there?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "That's Mexico." And I go, "That's Mexico?" He's like, "You're like literally 3 miles, and you can see for just, you know, forever. It's Texas." And he goes, "Yeah, that's Mexico's right there." I mean, it was the same distance to Mexico as it was from my house to my high school.
Oh, wow.
Like, you know, to put it in perspective, I lived 3 miles from my high school or my junior high school. Literally, I'm looking from this balcony into Mexico, the same distance, 3 miles, you know, 15,000 some feet. And, I was just like, yeah, why would anybody live here? Like, it's just dirt brown and just fuck this place, man. So we got on the road and we started hitchhiking, but we had to get back up to North Texas to, you know, Dallas, Fort Worth to get on the 40 to go across because we're all the way down here. So we're in San Antonio. We get up to, we get a ride up. We end up staying in Austin. Now, I tell people 6th Street in Austin is one of the most wonderful places.
I watch a lot of comedy because a lot of the comedy scene is moved from LA
Austin City Limits,
Austin,
and South by Southwest.
6th Street all the time,
dude. 6th Street. Back in the day, now this is 1986 now, mind you, this is August of 86. I've only been there one time, but the memory is so indelibly etched in my mind, dude. I tell it to everyone all the time. I'm like, if there was ever a city that I would like, hey, I didn't know about it, but I would move back there if given the chance. And now that Joe Rogan's there and all the cool shit's going on there, I'd still be, you know, if I could get a good, decent job or, you know, whatever, you know, fine ass sugar mama. By the way, ladies, I'm single. I would definitely, you know, entertain the thought, as it were. Sure. But this guy south of Austin at a truck stop or something, you know, we go in and we're like, go into the restroom to wash up, clean up and everything. Because that's the great thing about truck stops is they have showers and shit. So if you go in there, a lot of those places you can. And then if you ask if you're cool with the drivers, you can say, hey, do you need a lumper or do you need help or do you need any company on your ride? We're trying to get to LA. You know, a lot of those drivers, man, truck drivers are some of the nicest people in the world. I mean, granted, I'm biased because I work at, you know, a place. I'm a Teamster and a shop steward and all that. So, you know, I'm kind of biased towards truckers. But no, man, truckers are some of the nicest, most decent people on the planet. But barring the rapists and the serial killers. I mean, the rest of them are pretty damn nice. So we end up in this place, and this guy's like, "Oh, because you know," and we tell the guy the story, and he works there. And he says, "Well, why don't you guys hang out with me, man? I'll take you into Austin tonight. I'll introduce you to my friend Daryl." Oh, man, I guess I can tell this story because I doubt that piece of shit's alive now. Back once again, I was like asking people when they get all up, "Yeah, how my family like?" I ask them like one of the other questions: "Have you ever been sexually assaulted by a gay man?" I have.
Oh, gosh.
I'm like, so spare me your fucking righteous indignation. with this bullshit nowadays, because you want to try to act like this one group is just so removed from reproach, from scrutinizing, or or judgment. And I'm like, no, let me tell you something. There's a few groups in this world that I've had to deal with that are some of the biggest fucking liars you'll ever meet. Gay men and drug addicts are two of them. Okay, and gay men get pissed all they want, but you gay men out there know what I'm talking about. You know, some of your fellow queens lie through their fucking teeth. It just goes. I don't know, man.
This is turning into a very nice, prideful.
And it though. But I like. You know what? I honestly don't give a fuck if anybody out there misconstrues what I'm saying, because people do that shit all the time. And it's just like, look, anybody that knows me would tell you that guy's one of the sweetest, nicest, most loving people. He has nothing but love. But if you come like an asshole, if you start demanding, once you start making demands of me to think a certain way or act a certain way or do things, bro, I ain't cut from that cloth, man. I am the first guy to say, fuck you, come get some. I mean, just who I am. Think about who the people I'm from. I mean, come on, man.
Right.
So why wouldn't I be? But anyhow, we meet Daryl the clown. Daryl's shtick is he hangs out on 6th Street with this funky ass little car with little figurines. They got people that glue the shit all. Okay.
Yes.
So this guy, first time I've ever seen this shit, this guy's got his car covered, all this stuff. So of course that's an immediately draw. Like, what a weird, quirky thing to do. This guy must be, interesting. And anyhow, I don't know about this kid introduces us to him. Now, in hindsight, I don't know if this kid is like a, like recruiter. He's finding, right? Because it sort of feels that way looking back. Daryl says, you guys are hitchhiking across the country. Yeah, you need a place to stay. Yeah, okay. Well, you can stay at my place tonight. And he goes, but I got, I'm staying out here. And he would charge $5 for a Polaroid picture for people to come and stand with him, dressed up like a clown with his car, and he just $5 a Polaroid. Dude was making pretty decent money. Yeah. So we walked 6th Street. I remember I'm 19 years old. I'm walking down a public street in America with a beer in my hand, walking past police officers who just nod their head, evening officer. And you just go on about your merry way. And people are like, yeah, man, you're in Texas. It's like, and I just got under the wire for like the 19, drinking at 19, because they had moved it up to 21. And I had just got in under the wire. So I was like, yeah. But we end up staying at his place. Now he tells one of you can sleep on the couch and one of you can sleep in the room with me. So I was like, all right, Michael, you can have the couch. I go in the room and I'm like, I'm just going to lay on the floor here. He's like, all right, you lay on the floor. And throws me this thin little sheet. And I'm like, okay, I'm laying there. I fall asleep and then I wake up and it's freezing. He tells me, oh, if it gets too cold, you can lay on the other side of the bed here or whatever. There's a blanket there. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So middle of the night, I get up and it's just free. He's got the AC just going and it's freezing. I mean, it is August in Texas, but it's freezing in this room. And I get up and so I just real quietly climb. You lay right on the edge of the mattress, like literally, if you one wrong move and you're just falling off, right? So I'm laying there and it's like, and I doze off. And I don't know how long I was out for it, but all of a sudden I wake up and my pants are being tugged at. I feel a hand tugging at my jean button trying to open my pants. And I'm just like, I look down and I see his big old meat paw and I grab it and I'm like, motherfucker, throw his hand off. Now my first inclination is to beat this guy to fucking death.
Right.
But then a voice says, no, this is not your journey. This is not your destination. Leave now. And I think it was self-pressure because I don't know. This guy could have had anything. I got up and I'm just cussing him like, you motherfucker. It's this violation. Like you would dare to touch me without my permission while I'm vulnerable and sleeping.
I trusted you.
So that's why I say, when you think I'm some massage, I don't understand women. Yeah, I do. You think I don't understand the gay community? Yeah, because I've had gay men that were wonderful, decent human beings, and I've had other ones that were fucking just pieces of shit. So don't sit there and try to act like they're all angels and perfect to me. You're sitting there trying to, like I said, because you've got some guilty conscience, some bullshit in you that you think the rest of the world must perceive things the way you do. That's really arrogant. That's really, it's retarded, but it's arrogant at the same time. But I had that situation happen and I wake up and Michael, of course, he's sleeping on the couch. I'm like, Michael, get the fuck out of here. He's like, why, Nikki? I'm like, dude, just motherfuckers trying to grab my, and it's like, I'm just going off. He's like, oh, Dickie. I was like, Michael, we're leaving now. You come with me or you can catch up with me later, man. I'll see you around, but I'm not staying in this fucking house another minute. And so Michael, God bless him, got up and said, all right, dude, let's go. So kick it, a month or so later, we're in Laguna Niguel. Guy sees us hitchhiking. We're over there in Costa Mesa or what is it, Newport area. Guy picks us up and we're just like, hey, we're just trying to get to somewhere, just find a place to sleep. He's like, oh, you guys are homeless? Yeah. And this guy, he's one of those guys, my gator did not go off like at all. This guy acted straight. Had a Miata. That should have been the red flag. But these are the early days, you know. Not you know. We didn't know until later that Miatas were a pride flag on wheels. So
I should have tipped you off.
Like I said, Miatas were new then, so we hadn't learned yet. We didn't have enough, material in to make a, Anyhow, Mike, middle of the night, Michael, Nicky, let's go. What? Oh, those guys do the same thing. Like, guy goes, you remember I got up in Texas? I'm like, you had to pull that one.
Oh,
like,
so that guy did the same thing to him.
The same thing to him.
Oh no.
Yeah, so, yeah, we, like I said, it was an adventure, man. But like I said, there was always something that happened. So that's what happened the night I left Richmond. The cops and the guns and all that shit.
It's just, the whole thing is interesting where you're placed in an unideal situation, but all it does, it just propels you forward.
Yes.
It's like you're not meant to stay here.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just an invisible hand behind you pushing you, going, I'm trying to tell you, move on, man. Let's just go. We had talked about me leaving Phoenix, about the
yes.
You said DA. I got to correct that. It's the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. Okay. So yeah, because there was no. The DEA hadn't got a hold of. At least I don't think the DA in Phoenix had got a hold of our shit yet.
DEA.
Apparently, my name is still on list down there. 20-some, 30-some years later, my name is. I'm still on list.
Let me just tell you. Start spelling your last name with a K.
They'll never know.
You're set.
Just change it around because you can spell it any number of ways. Trust me, people have. It really, you'd be fascinated at some of the ways they've spelled my last name. It's kind of humorous. I should keep a little book of them. So you heard about that. So back before Jay and I got into business, I was living in this 1-bedroom apartment. This guy Dan, he was the only one that was working, had an apartment. He didn't have electricity on, but this guy would go and work. I think he drove a sweeper. And so he was making money, had department. And there's like 6 of us little rockers. Like we're all aged from 16 to like 19, 20. Because the 16-year-old Greg, he was a runaway. So, we were just all like long hair little shits, man. And we called ourselves the Phoenix Sleaze Patrol, Local 69. We dine at 9. Dive at 5, dine at 9, something like that. Anyhow, we were called the Phoenix Sleaze Patrol. One of our friends, Ricky, was actually silly enough to go out and get that tattoo done. He got it covered up years later, but yeah. But anyhow, during that time of us just running around, we would run in. We were all getting high on coke and meth and acid, and we would run into these stores and grab candy bars and shit. Grab and dash, just stupid young shit. And we'd go into A&PM this one time, and there's like. We're just talking to the dude at the counter. His name's Tim. We're like, we befriended him. And he got to the point where he was like, we'd go in there, man. He's like, all right, guys, here's the old hot dogs and hamburgers, and A&PM food is the greatest food in the world when you're starving. And so he goes, and then he goes, hey, come around the back. He goes, I'll get you guys a case of beer. And we'd drive around the back, and he'd slip us a case of beer out. And so he was that kind of friend to us, right? And so time went by. Me and Jay did our thing. Tim comes around. Tim's a customer. He's, getting yayo from us from time to time. But Tim's also our guy that we call, because he's got a friend they called Pharmaceutical Bill. And old Pharmaceutical Bill could get you anything you wanted and pill for him. Like I don't know how, but he was able to get the pharmaceuticals. And so let me tell you, some of them pills were great for me when I was coming down off of 7, 10, 14-day runners. They gave me one time, man, put me out for 36 hours. They thought I was in a coma. I said, fuck, I was. You thought I was. I'm like, I was like, if I slept past 10 hours, I'm probably in a coma. I'm like, But yeah, a day and a half I slept because I was up for at least 10 or 12 days on that one run. Yeah, no, it's amazing what that does to your body. That's why I tell people, I'm like, every day that I walk this earth now is as a gift from God. It's by his grace, because like what I did to my body and my brain, I probably should just be just slobbering on myself and speaking in like half words. And so Bill's the pharmaceutical guy, and we're hanging out with him, and he brings around this friend. I forget what his deal was, but he was a cool guy, quiet, dark haired dude, but he liked guns. And so we go out to the desert and all, and he pulls out like a Mac. Was it a Mac 10? Mac 10, Mac 11, pulls out a Mac, pulls out an AK, pulls out rifles. And I don't think I have my 44 Magnum anymore at this time, but there's a lot of firearms, and we're just having a good old time. We're out at 7th Street in Deer Valley, the place everybody parties, but this is a night when nobody's out there. So we drive, and we're just out there just shooting shit up, fucking shooting saguaros, illegal, just shooting the shit out of fucking saguaros and everything. And, took some pictures of it and all, we got some Polaroids of us and all together hanging out with the guns and everything. And Jay and I move up to Seattle. Tim's keeping in touch. He's writing us letters and stuff and calling us. And he writes us a letter. And he says, Jay, now let me give you another side story. During that time that we were like, doing our thing in Phoenix and selling all that yayo and then closing shop after everything gone down, there was a series of First Interstate Bank robberies going on all throughout the Maricopa County area. Okay. This dude was hitting them all the time, man. And he was getting away with the money, and he was riding a motorcycle. And anyhow, Tim says, hey, Jay, tell Nikki that that dude that we were out in the desert shooting the guns with got arrested. He's the guy that was robbing all of the First Interstate banks. So I was literally one of my last nights in Phoenix before I left. Like this was like a couple of nights before we left. I'm literally hanging out with the First Interstate Bank robber.
Oh my god!
Right, shooting the fucking guns that this guy had been using for the robberies. It's just, so there's that story, and then I'll leave you with the other one. I told you about Jerry Cantrell and I hanging out. You getting a call?
No, keep going. You're good.
I said Jerry Cantrell and I hanging out at the Paramount, remember? And Mike Howell took me down and meeting everybody, blah, blah, blah. So then the show's over, come out. Mike Starr, the bass player for Alice in Chains, is like, hey, party at the Alice House off of Military Road. What is that? Kent, I think it's Kent, South Seattle. But anyhow, Alice in Chains had a house, Mike Starr's place, I guess, off of Military Road. And he invited all of us back for a party. And so I'm hanging out with them, and Mike gets a phone call. Now, anybody out there listening can verify this. If Sean Kinney, if the drummer from Alice in Chains, if you ever hear this, you can verify this because you're part of the story.
How do you spell his last name?
Kinney. Yeah. But Sean can verify this because the other two individuals in the story, unfortunately, are dead now, Mike and Lane. But we're partying, we're hanging out, and me and Mike are just sitting on the couch, and we're talking, and we're having this great conversation, because Mike and I hadn't really had a chance to get to know each other well, but now we're sitting down, and he's telling me, yeah, Nicky, I hear a lot of good things about you, dude, and like, people just say that you're a really cool guy and fun guy to hang out with and all, and Jerry's just raving about your voice, man. He says you're a hell of a singer, and we're just getting into it, all of a sudden the phone rings, and he's like, what? Fuck. All right, I'll be there in a few. And he hangs up, he goes, sorry, guys, I gotta end this party. Here's my drummer, my singer are drunk in Post Alley, and I got to go pick them up. The cops are chasing them, and I got to go pick them up. So Lane and Sean had gotten just shitty fucking drunk after that Dangerous Toys LA gun show, and they're down in Post Alley by Pike Place Market hiding because they were doing dumb drunk rock star shit. And had gotten the cops called, so they're hiding out. They're waiting for their bass player to come and save them. So the party's ending, and I remember this distinctly, man. As I'm walking out, and I'm getting my motorcycle gear, getting ready to, put my helmet and everything on. I'm the last one out, And Mike stops me and he looks at me and he says, Nicky, he says, seriously, dude, he goes, I hear a lot of good things from people about you. They say you're a really good dude. He goes, and I'm into people's energies and auras, man. I don't mean to sound weird. He goes, but I'm just into bringing people into our circle that have that good vibe and energy. He says, and bro, he says, I just like your energy, man. He says, so if you need anything, the Alice in Chains house is open to you, bro. Anytime you need something, brother, we're here for you. And I was like, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that, dude. I mean, you know, it was just this unexpected kindness. I was like, thank you. And he looks at me, and this is one of the last things he says. He says, Nicky, we're in the studio working on our album right now. He goes, and it's going to drop in a few months. He goes, and I got a really good feeling about this, dude. He goes, I think we've got something. He says, I think we have something. And the spark, I just never forget the sparkle in his eyes, man. That just look
so excited
of like, and this is Facelift, okay? This is Man in the Box, right? Before it's out. And so I remember I'm back in Phoenix and I get the call that Andy had died, Andy Wood from Mother Love Bone. And Jay calls me and says, you know, Andy's passed away. And I'm like, shit. And I looked at my friends and I'm like, yeah, my friend Andy died. He's the lead singer for this band called Mother Love Bone. And they're laughing like Mother Love Bone. I'm like, yeah, I know it's a funny name. But yeah, said you guys should listen to him. It's like incredible. And then they go, oh, wait, that one, the Chloe dance, you know, because Chloe, that was a popular song. And I was like, yeah, that's them. That's Mother Love. He goes, that guy died. And I'm like, yeah. And they go, you knew him, Nick? I go, yeah, I was one of the first musicians, friends that I made in Seattle. And they're like, wow. And I said, there's also another band. I said, the bass player, Mike, told me their album is going to be coming out soon. I said, but they're called Alice in Chains. And they're like, called what? I go, Alice in Chains. And they're like, what's with all those weird band names up there in Seattle? Like, I don't know, dude. It might be the weather. It might be the heroin. I don't know. Maybe it's a combination. But Man in the Box drops. And my friends are looking at me. They're like, dude, you do not fucking know these guys. No, I really do. This is my friend. These are the guys I was telling you about. But yeah, that night, man, because I think I already told you guys all the rest of it. But that look in his eye, I'll never forget that. Like that look in Mike's eyes when he was telling me about Facelift, them, you know, in the studio working on this album, and just to see what happened afterwards, you know. So that's what happened when I basically just a couple nights before I left Seattle to go back to Phoenix. Phoenix coming back to Seattle in '94 because I've been asked to come up here and sing for the band Ditch. And our band Industrial Slam in Phoenix, and we're practicing Tempe right off the freeway. Someone, we don't know who, tweakers, jealous pricks, I don't know, but somebody had broken into our band room and cleaned us out. Took everything but the drum kit. They took my wireless mic, but they left the receiver. That's how I know it wasn't a musician, because musicians would have known wireless mics don't work just magically. Like, look, you just turn it on and you just sing into it. It's like, yeah, there's other parts to it, but this person obviously didn't know that because they left the receiver. Anyhow, they took my microphones. They took the PA system that I had borrowed from my friend Norm. I paid him back years later. It was like funny in 2009 when I found him on Facebook and went down and visited.
Oh,
I said, "Here, pull over here to the Bank of America." We pull over there. I go, "Here," and he goes, "What's that?" I go, "This is the money that I owed you for that PA system from back in '94." And he looks at me, he goes, "It's like 15 years later," and he's like, "Really?" And he goes online. He goes, "My friend Nicky just paid me a debt that he owed me from 15 years ago." And it's like, you know, who does that? Like, I'm like, cool. I do. I'm like, because I said I've known about that debt. I've remembered it forever.
Right.
But anyhow, when I was in L.A., Michael and I went to Sunset. We met these girls one night. Michael hooks up with her. She's from Phoenix. She comes back. She's got pictures of us. She shows my picture to this girl, Courtney. Courtney is, well, back in those days, we called him mulatto. But Courtney's half black, half white.
Yeah.
And she's also adopted. She's also someone whose last name I knew at one time, but I think the drugs and the years maybe just burned that cell. I can't remember her last name to save my life. And it's important for this one simple reason. I may have another child in this world. Literally the 2 nights before I left Phoenix to come back to Seattle in '94, she and I, so when I got to Phoenix, she was the first girl I hooked up with. It didn't matter if either of us was in relationships or anything else. Whenever we saw each other, it was on. After the Rose, I remember one year after the Rose Bowl, my friend Carl and Sean, they were like, I go, stop over here, and I call her up. I'm like, what are you doing? And I think, no, she paged me, and I call her back. She's like, I'm at this motel. Come over here and see me. I'm like, so anyhow, it was kind of like one of those things, man. We just had a passion for each other that was unbridled, and so she and I had hooked up, but she's been dating this guy, some businessman or whatever, and he wants to marry her and start a family. I go over to see her, and she looks at me, and she says, I'm pregnant. And I go, yeah. She goes, it's yours. And I go, fuck. And she's like, and she knows that I've been fighting demons, right? Like this call from Seattle to come up there and sing for them is a godsend, because what I'm doing, especially now that the band's been fucked up, I was drinking, but I had stayed away from the drugs, but I was starting to get a handle on the drinking too, because I wanted the band to succeed, because we were starting to get popular. People like the bigger bands in Phoenix were looking at us going, holy shit, you guys are good. Like we sounded like Pantera. We could do Pantera covers and sound exactly like Pantera. And this is in 1992, 93. So Pantera was the shit at that time. And, things are going good, but I'm also replacing the meth and the coke and all the other hard drugs with alcohol. And, Native Americans, we don't really do well. The Irish part of me was loving it, but the Native part was like, no, this no good. How the fuck we going to get out? He's like, how we going to get out of this one? I coming back to Seattle was like when I told my mom that. I remember she told me later on when we had a conversation, she said, when you called me and told me you were moving back to Seattle, she says, I don't know what you were doing. She says, your answer machine always said, if you can't reach me, call me on my pager. And she says, and you never had a job. She said, only two kind of people in this world that have with a pager, and she said, you ain't no doctor or lawyer. And I said, no. I said, yeah, Mama, you don't want to know half of what I did. But anyhow, she said she felt like God lifted a weight off of her shoulders when I told her I was moving. She goes, literally, she heard God's voice in her ear saying, your baby's going to be okay now. So me leaving was necessary, because everybody saw it. Everybody realized, like, as much as I was fighting, I was losing a little bit each day. I would move forward, but then I'd get pushed back, and it was like the alcohol was just, and it was being a rocker, a singer in a band. It was so easy, all the strippers and all the DJs and all the bartenders, and everybody, the doorman, everybody from the years of selling coke and your years of being in rock bands, everybody, and you're friends with all the other rock bands, the big ones, you just know all these people, man. And so it's just so easy to get in for free, to drink for free. And it can be, destructive. It sounds like a good time. Well, you can get into clubs for free and drink for free. That sounds like a great, but yeah, young people, it sounds like a great time until it's not. But she comes to me and tells me, like, I explained all that for the reason that, like, people are like, why do you stick around? Like, I told her, I was like, well, should I stick around? She's like, no. She goes, honey, you are meant to be a rock star. She goes, and if you need to go to Seattle, you need to go to Seattle. She goes, I'm not going to hold you. She goes, this man, she's a wonderful man. He wants to start a family with me. She goes, and I'm tired of all this life, Billy or Nikki. And I'm like, I get it. And she goes, but you have bigger things. She goes, and I would never try to tie you down. And I was like, but I kind of want to know who my child is, like,
Yeah.
She goes, I know. She goes, but it's just better this way. And I was like, and at that point, man, I'm already packed. I'm ready to, I'm leaving in a day or two. I'm sleeping on my friend Kevin's couch, getting ready to bounce. I left on May 5th, I think, May 5th, and May 6th was, so literally like a week ago was like my anniversary of arriving back in Seattle, Burien, in fact, May 6th of 94. So, I can go into the details later some other time about Kylie, but thank God my friend Sean saw her and her mom at a store and told me, because in all of my, phased out shit, I didn't realize that my daughter's mother had her. And so, I was at least able, because I knew her mom's last name. To this day, I've sat back. I went on Craigslist and posted an ad in Arizona for if your mother's name is Courtney and she's and you've wondered some things, and just for the life of me, I can't pull her last name. Like the first girl I ever met in Phoenix, and I can't pull her name. And so that shit drives me crazy. But yeah, it's it's just another one of the chapters of my story. But these are the things. It's just weird. It seems like every time I leave a city to permanently move somewhere else, not just to go visit, but it's just something majorly impactful
to push you out.
Some good story to tell on a podcast 30 years later happens, and here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was just crazy how all that stuff kind of worked itself out.
That's awesome.
Here I am.
Well,
nevertheless,
I'm telling you, we're getting the history of Billy, Nikki.
We got to do something more, man. Because you know me. You see my Facebook page.
I know.
You know I'm up to my nuts in this shit, man. I got my boots on. I'm ready to stomp, man. And you are established. We got to do this, man. We got to blow this up. We got to blow Travis Kenny up, y'all.
Hey, this is fun.
Travis Kenny needs to make some money, and I'm telling you what, Billy Nicky is here to make that happen.
This is all for fun. This is the thing.
Money is fun, Travis. Have you heard?
Yeah, I like money, but here's the thing that's fun for me. Okay, so here's the thing that's fun for me, and I was just thinking about I was thinking about that today. But we got to wrap up soon, so we're gonna do shout outs. But I'm just gonna want to share this. So when Nick messaged me about you, said, "Hey, you need to get this guy on. He's a cool dude." I was like, "All right."
Well, he only says that because he lives with me. And
Oh yeah, okay. Well, either way,
he rents a room.
Yeah. So,
I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
Yeah, right.
Early conversation.
Hopefully, you're not sneaking in there and repaying.
No. No offense to Nick, but if I were that way, believe me, I'm going top shelf, people. I'm the same with the women. I'm just like I'm always looking at the top shelf.
Yeah. But no,
Nick's a great guy.
So it's like. But I can get caught up in this, guys. And this is, everyone knows this. I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. And and so it's like there's a part of me that I have to like everyone else. I can like fantasize and think about big dreams and this and that. But the reality is once it becomes a chore, I never want to do it again.
I get that. Totally understand that.
And it's not you. It's
no, I know what you mean though.
So I need to find the line where I enjoy it and can keep going, but I've given up and I'm not looking for blowing up, going viral. That was me in the early stages. I just do it for fun now, So if it blows up, it blows up. I'm cool with that.
Right.
But the goal for me is just to hear stories, have conversations. And I appreciate you promoting the show like crazy. You do a good job at that. And then the people that comment and leave comments, and I listen to it. That was awesome. I got a chance to finally listen to this. And
they're all asking me too. They're like, "Are you still going to do your podcast? You should do a podcast." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, It's just like I said. It's having the right places, the right pieces. I can't stare into my computer screen at my face and talk about shit. Especially, I'm not going to talk about myself. Now I can sit there and do that and talk about. I can go on and on, but I hate the sound of my voice sometimes, especially, and when I start droning on, I'm just like, man, I'm boring myself. So if I'm boring myself, these people are probably asleep now. I'm harder on myself, obviously. I'm a bigger critic on myself.
Yeah.
I'm like just a boring piece of shit. And like, no, you're not. Like, yes, I am. Tell me I'm not a good. But no, it's just like I said, I have to have the right environment to really feel myself. And you see it on the Water Boys. You see it when I'm with all those people, how my energy is just because it's not just me. I'm guiding it, but it's not me just being everything and all things.
Exactly.
It's like I'm sharing the limelight with other people.
Exactly.
They have opinions and comments and whatever. And you see Big Low, the recent episode, Big Low. So I tell him, I'm like, I have all these wonderful people. Why wouldn't I want to let them speak? Why wouldn't I want to let them be a part of it?
You got to let them run. And that's the thing with me is kind of the same thing with you is like, yeah, I mean, you could go on and on, but you always bring it back. You are good at that, but you also they're good stories. And I always, like today when I was getting ready, I was thinking in my head, I was like, typically people start running out of stories. This is the 4th episode, and I'm thinking, so there's going to be a point where I know you're going to be staring at me, But then, and then halfway through this episode, I go in my own head as I'm listening. I'm going, I don't think we're ever gonna hit that part. Like there'll never be a point where you'll just go, and that's that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the Forrest Gump on you. That's all I got to say about that.
And just walk out the door.
Right, and just walk out. Right, just start running across the country. You know, my hair and my beard are already growing out. I might as well go ahead and start jogging.
It's not gonna happen. That's the point.
I got stories in it. You know, it's funny because you know, obviously there's the Waterboys years, but I was married during that time. And honestly, that was probably the calmest time of my life. After the divorce, when I started hanging out in the after-hours scene in downtown Seattle again, at the nightclubs, and then I started dating this girl who has a website. I guess I can say it on here. It's called candycoatedgirls.com. She and I were a thing for a couple of years. Anyhow, it's funny now because she's tried to scrub her existence off the internet. Well, because she's got, I think, at least one, if not two kids.
Oh,
now.
wow.
It's just funny because all the girls that I knew that were into the adult film industry and all, 99% of them have scrubbed their shit off the internet.
Just
like,
because it's...
No Pornhub, no websites, no nothing, man. No nothing. Like... You're hard pressed to find anything of them. Bethany Sweet would be one of them.
I do like how you throw out the names, and now guys are like,
Candy Electra, Candy Electra. That's Electra with a K.
That's too funny.
You know, but yeah, it's just interesting. We all grow up, and the thing is like I feel sorry for those girls for this, and young people out there. Hear me clearly. Like I said, I'm never. By the way, all praise and glory to God. Jesus is my Savior, so I'm thankful every day for their love and their grace and forgiveness because I don't know what I'd be without it. Young people, you can fuck up, but you don't have to stay there.
Right.
Okay. You can fall down, just don't stay down. And so I look at these girls and I see it, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. I understand. You know, you were doing it then, and. You know, when you're young, it's so easy to just go, I don't care. You know,
you live forever. You got all the answers.
Yeah, or like me, I was fatalistic, man. My heroes all died at 27. Me, I'm going to be a rock star and dead by 27. And trust me, 94 is the year I came up here. I was 27. That's when I left Phoenix. I was 27, and I was singing in that rock band, and it was like God said, no, because we were literally on our way. Industrial, we were being told that we needed to start opening for the national acts that were coming through. Like, we opened for this one band that had been opening for national acts called Hate Incorporated, and Chad and I were friends. I worked him, and he finally let me open for him, and we blew them off the fucking stage. I mean, he was pissed when they went to set up, and he's like, you shouldn't be opening for anybody in this town unless they're national acts. And so we were literally told, people telling us, yeah, you guys need to start looking at, you know, getting gigs opening for, you know, Pantera or whomever when they're coming through. I mean, like, you know, you got that. You get that in places where they'll have the one local band come and set up, and I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
Right.
I'll be glad to do that. But we were on our way, man, until that break-in happened and all that shit happened. But
again,
you know, I got stuck there. I would have been there and in that, and it was just like God came and said, no, I need you out. I need you somewhere else. Like, you know, you're not going to survive if you stay here. Get out. So these things happen, and sometimes it just, you know, it may seem like the world is conspiring against you, but it's not. It's just God saying, hey, I need you somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it.
That's awesome.
It's all for a reason. It's all for a purpose.
We're going to do our shout outs. I got to shout out, you know, I'm wrestling with my shout out today only because, I'm not sure if I'm ready to shout it out, but it will come soon.
Michael Cohen?
Say what? Yeah, no.
Stormy Daniels?
Yeah, no, not
my hero.
Not yet. Well, not yet. But,
oh my God!
But I do want to shout out. I want to shout out the underground over here in Enumclaw. They have, if you ever come down here, it looks like it's called the Roaring Underground, and it looks like a shop. On the front, and you can actually buy the things there: shirts, you know, makeup, drink essentials. But you walk in, and then you say the code word, "I'm here for my dress fitting," and there's this giant mirror that you think you're going to be dressing up and looking at, and then they open the door, and behind it it's dimly lit. There's tables and there's a
wow.
full bar.
It's like
And
an old speakeasy.
It's
or
an
some
old
shit?
speakeasy.
Yeah, right on, man.
And so me and my mom and my dad, we went
love
there. And they treated us very kindly,
That's awesome.
and very sweet. The owners there and everyone that works there, it's a family, and so they take care of you.
Cool.
Great drinks. They have a barbecue whiskey that tastes so good. I love it. So anyway, go down there, support Enumclaw, support Roaring Underground. You know my other sponsors, but definitely check out the Roaring Underground. Lots of fun. A good time.
Man,
So.
if you ain't been to Enumclaw, you really don't let them old stories from 20-some years ago fuck
We
with
have
you,
to
man.
tell
That's
those
just-
stories, though.
You know,
So that
and it
people
kind of
stay
sucks.
away.
That's a good point. You know, it's like the Seattle thing. Maybe you just tell everybody there's just full of a bunch of, heroin addicts and fentanyl addicts and shit, and people will stay away. It'll turn back into that gym it was in the 80s again.
Yeah.
God, I miss those days. Boy, that was awesome. God, it was awesome, dude. Just those days before they started putting all that steel and glass and concrete up in your face, when you could go down to Pike Place Market and go into the Athenian, or what was the other one? There's another one in there, but the Athenian's a good one to use, for example. And you just walk in right into the market, wave to the guys behind the fish counter, turn to the right, and there's the Athenian. Walk into the Athenian, sit down at a table, order your clam chowder and beer, and look out and watch the ferries come in from Bainbridge. In a cloudy, rainy day. And it was like so fucking Seattle, man. Like that was Seattle. And you could go and stand on First Avenue and you could see the ferries and Bainbridge and the islands and all and the Olympics, because there wasn't all this steel in your face. There weren't all these high-rise. Now you go down to First Avenue, it's like, man, shit, you can barely see the water anymore. You have to get literally down on the Western or Alaskan to see shit, and it's sad. I mean, sometimes progress is so regressive.
Yeah, true.
It really is. But hey, this isn't even a shout out. I'm not even getting paid for it. But so I go over here to Buckley quite often. There's Blue Max Meats, and right there in the parking lot, there's a produce stand there too. But right there in the parking lot, there's this truck that's called Stack's Burgers.
So good.
And I just noticed coming here to your place, there's another one right around the corner. Man, folks, if you're over here in Enumclaw or in the Buckley area and you're looking for a bomb ass, the Bigfoot barbecue and a side of fries, trust me on this, it's going to cost you about $18 some. Tip them. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Or
20 some
DoorDash.
you can pay
DoorDash,
or DoorDash it, even better. Yeah.
We'll
Order from
drive it to
Stacks
you.
and have Travis deliver it to you. But yeah, man. I mean, if you're gonna go pay, did you hear a Big Mac meal at McDonald's is like $21 now?
It's crazy, and
bro. Like, I mean, it'd be one thing if that food wasn't absolute shit. Look, if you're gonna pay $21 for a burger meal, I'm telling you, you are way better off with a Stacks burger. And I hope the people at Stacks hear me and provide me, some sort of endorsement package or something for doing it, because I love your guys' food, man. Your shit. Oh my God, that Bigfoot barbecue burger is the best. Yeah. Have you ever had the Bigfoot?
I haven't had that one.
The Bigfoot barbecue, my friend.
I'll have to walk
Try
down.
it out.
I walked down right downtown there. You got
it's so easy, dude. I see this. I look at him like, God, he's got it made. Like he can literally just walk right down the street, couple blocks, and you're right in the heart of Enumclaw with everything. And it's so just, I don't know, man. The energy here, it's still a small town feel. The most beautiful views you could ever hope for. I mean, Mount Rainier just standing there smiling at you, going, I'm a volcano. I'm going to shit on you someday. And then, you're just like out here in the country almost, but you got city, vibes to it a little bit, but you can drive, 10 minutes down the road here and be away from all of it. And you feel like you're out in the country.
True.
The only problem with this place is it's in King County.
Which is also in and then also
in the state, the leftist communist state of Washington, So
the two things going against it is it's in King County and Washington State.
Yes, comrade, we are here. I don't know, man. Yeah, but because my friend was saying you don't want to move to Enumclaw, it's King County taxes. I was like, that's the one drawback. I was like, if they could just move that motherfucker just a couple of miles south there into Pierce County, man, right over the river there. Isn't that the river? Isn't that where the line is?
That's
right there
that's the line. And Pierce County has tried to to get
incorporate Enumclaw.
But King County won't let go of Enumclaw because it's such a cash
cow for them.
Yes.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
And then that there you go. That's why.
Yep.
I was gonna say they're probably making so much money from you guys here
Yep.
because I mean, literally, folks, if you haven't been here, you got to. It's just. Like I said,
tried.
I would really love to live here in Enumclaw, man. But then Travis would just be like, he just wants to be on my podcast
all the time,
every day. It's like he just wants to be his own podcast. Like he's taking over my podcast.
Do it.
Your wife is like, thank you so much, Nikki.
Yeah,
Thank
she
you
would
so
love it.
much."
I would go golf. I'd be like, all right, have fun.
Just make sure you turn the lights off and lock up when you leave.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So to all my family and friends in Virginia, I'm coming in. I'll be there Friday, hanging out with my sister, doing the dinner thing with her soon-to-be in-laws. The wedding is Saturday. After the wedding at 1:00, I'm going to say Saturday night I'm free. Sunday, taking my mom for a belated Mother's Day meal. Available all day Monday. And then leaving Tuesday afternoon. So. Any of y'all out there want to hang out and see me, man? Get your head out of your ass and let out. You know?
Yeah. Send him a message. Also send us
I only
messages.
come back about every 5 years
for a question, and then just for the fun of it, have your truck running out in the yard and one night, and maybe you can go take it for a joyride.
There you go. Hey, and all my friends, family, and fans. I say that word with humility. I laugh every time they say you have fans. I'm like, really? I'm like, I like it when they blow me. No, to my folks out there that are listening that got to this podcast because of me, thank you for interacting with Travis, for giving him feedback and comments, because I know it encourages him to have me back. It gives him an idea of how many of you are out there listening and actually giving a shit, to know whether this is something to continue doing or if maybe he needs to find another guest that isn't quite as boring. Thank you folks for participating. And to all of Travis's friends, the full BuddyCast fan base, thank you all. I've read the comments from some of y'all, and I really appreciate your kindness and your positive feedback. And I appreciate you appreciating my tale telling here, because I wasn't sure how this was going to go over. I was very thankful for Travis allowing me to do it. But the fact that I'm back here for my fourth time is a testament that maybe there's something to this. And I have enjoyed every single long-winded moment. So, all right. On that note,
hour and a half, baby, we did it.
We did it. An hour and a half. I said we go a little longer this time. Yeah.
And then when he gets back from his trip, I
will have stories. I will have pictures of me in my pimping suit.
Yeah, and that suit looks dope, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, my son-in-law Victor and I went shopping. He thought we were going to be out for hours. We go to we drive to Olympia. And we go to Men's Warehouse. We walk in, and I'm like, tell the guy, I was like, look, young man, I said, maybe you know, garden party attire, Easter colors, lighter colors. He goes, yes, sir. He starts pulls the jacket, pants, and
done.
45 minutes, an hour later,
I saw the pictures,
I'm
man.
like, I'm decked, and I'm like, and I saw the hat up on the shelf, and I grabbed the hat and I put it on. I was like, dude,
what? Yeah,
that hat cost $60 fucking. But still, dude, I'm like, the hat just
the cherry on top
finished it, man. Yeah, and so I'm getting my hairs done, and I'm gonna be. Oh, wait till you see my hair. What my cousin does with my hair, dude. I don't want to tell it here because I want it to be a surprise. Right. Yeah. But I'm stoked because I haven't been this excited about putting a suit on. I think since my daughter and I went for pictures for Christmas when she moved up here in 2011, and I went and I bought a suit at Macy's or whatever, and we went and got pictures done and everything. And I was so excited because I got to, because I don't go to church that often. I don't go to any functions where I get to dress up in suits, but
sweet.
There's just something about putting on a nice suit makes a man feel like $1 million, or $1 billion these days due to inflation. But yeah, man. Victor helped me out immensely, and he was so shocked that it was an hour. It took us an hour and a half. About as long as it took us to do this podcast.
Wow!
It took us that long for
me
to
get out. The drive was almost longer.
Well, he lives in Lacey, so the drive was for me. From coming from Bonnie Lake. But yeah, man, it was so easy, and I'm so thankful to him. And I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I'm really happy for my sister. So
awesome.
I hope to have some good stories when I come back next time.
Absolutely, and good luck. And take your little notebook around and jot down any memories that may trigger when you see some things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a few I can probably bring up. I've got a few. But really, once again, thank you everyone out there for participating. And Travis, again, thank you so much for opening your home to me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good luck on the Airbus. It's not a Boeing. Everyone have a great week.
Oh, God, please don't let the doors fly off. Bye, everybody.
Welcome to the greatest of the greatest, a podcast that you never knew you needed, with interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice, asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Full Buddy Cast.